Hello instructors. Here is a technical presentation for tip number 2. Our project is the pre- and post-care operative instructions. We will be using Ruby on Rails as our web application framework. Bootstrap will also be used to develop responsive mobile-friendly front-end pages. We will also be using PostgreSQL as our back-end relational database management system. Kubernetes will be used to support future scaling. Docker will also be used for deploying server environments in containers rapidly. Patients and providers can use the same interface to log in our Care at Home app. If the patient needs to search for some medical-related information, the system will then issue a GET request to the FHIR API service in order to retrieve the result. The messages and conversations between the patients and providers will be stored in the Care at Home database. Each message record will create a new row in the messages table, which we will explain more in the next slide. For our messaging system, we will have 3 tables to store the messages. The user table will be used for both login and message purpose. The email and password will be used as the login credentials. User can have many messages, so user and message will be a many-to-many relationship through the user has messages table. The deployment is divided into 4 phases. The pipeline starts after all the developers push their codes to GitHub repo. After building the application, the unit test and integration test are run in parallel. After all the tasks in this phase passes, a manual smoke test is triggered, and then followed by the visual regression test. If this final visual regression test passes, we can release the product to users.
Here is what we think our app will look like on the end of this team project. Welcome to Care at Home. Care at Home is an online app that facilitates the communication process between patients and doctors on the topic of pre- and post-operation care. A user can log in Care at Home as either a patient or a healthcare provider by inputting a respective user name and password information, then clicking Sign In. If the user is logged in as a patient, he or she should be able to see 3 parts in the user interface. On the left-hand side, listing the common questions and answers related to the incoming operation. For example, appendectomy is shown here. Questions such as how do I prepare for it, or how it is performed, so on and so forth, should be shown here. The answer to each of the respective questions could be found by clicking the link. On the right-hand side, the patient should be able to find messages from healthcare providers. If the patient wants to reply, he or she could just type in the box and click Send, shown here, and clicking Send. On the bottom of the user interface, the patient could consult a medical library to find information related to the keywords of the patient's interest. For example, the patient input appendectomy, then click Search. Then the information related to appendectomy will be shown in this page. A healthcare provider can also log into the Care at Home app using the same manner. The user interface for a healthcare provider will only contain 2 parts. On the left-hand side, the provider is able to see information related to each of the patients and be able to send messages to the patient. On the right-hand side, a provider can see incoming messages from the patients and will be able to make replies similar to what we have been seeing just now.
This is our project plan. We have 4 phases: project research and requirement analysis, project architecture design, project implementation, and testing.
We have now completed the product research, as well as the UX UI specs. We have started working on the technical spec and have identified the languages and tools that we are going to use. In the coming few weeks, front-end team will start implementing the patient login and result pages. The back-end team will be working on writing TDD tests as well as patient login authentication pieces. Our API team will also start connecting to Fire service to get data. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your time.